Okay, let's discuss all of this with Ayo Johnson. He is with the Viewpoint Africa magazine. He joins me from London. Good to speak with you, sir. I'm wondering, we've talked a little bit about the state of the emergency there in Nigeria to the north and east, but I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on the closure of the border crossings with Niger, Cameroon, and Chad, and the impact that is having on daily life there in Nigeria.
Well, yes. Firstly, what we're seeing out in the streets at the moment is people are very angry, they feel frustrated, and they want the subsidies to be removed so that their daily lives can go back to normal, because goods and services are that much more expensive because of the fuel hike in prices as a result of the subsidy being removed. But in relation to the border situation, that's clearly because of the Boko Haram. Concerns that Boko Haram has the ability to be able to move within borders, especially through the neighboring states and neighboring countries, and the government is trying to curtail them and control them to ensure that they do not attack elements within the government and to keep some element of stability. So that's the main reason why they've caused this. But again, it has affected people and their lives and their movements, the movement of goods and services, and how people would like to generally move among themselves.
Okay, so Ayo, back to the fuel subsidies here for a moment. Do you believe the government when it says it wants to save the $8 billion a year in the subsidies and channel that money into the country's infrastructure? Do you buy that?
Well, it's what they've said that they want to do, but nonetheless, I think the method by which they want to raise the money is a huge concern, because taxing the poor, taking away the subsidy that affects each and every poor person. Don't forget that Nigeria, for all intents and purposes, is a fragile state, has nearly 60% of the population living below the poverty line. This is going to affect each and every one of them, and especially so the poor people. So yes, what they should do is raise the money elsewhere, raise the money through the bottlenecks and stop the corruption and improve governance that way, and then use the money they raise through those mechanisms for building the projects that the president have in mind.
So perfect. So
task the people.
Right. So do the protesters have a legitimate grievance against this government for, let's just say, not having a great record of transparency, and that perhaps the government should lead by cutting back on its own expenses first before lifting the subsidies which have already taken place?
Absolutely. High price, absolutely. Large salaries are an issue. Yes, the government would say it has consulted with people over the last 2 months, but clearly the consultation process has not been long enough. Clearly people don't seem to understand the reasons why the government is taking the action it's doing so now, and people feel aggrieved that they're being penalized by a government who they've only recently put back in office. So they're saying the poor should not be taxed. Clearly, these subsidies are going to have a detrimental effect on people's lives, and people are not going to have it. So the unions are clearly going to call out for nationwide demonstrations, and people are clearly demonstrating peacefully and asking that the government changes its mind.
Okay, Ayo, appreciate it. Ayo Johnson.